How's it going, everybody? Texas Man here. I hope you guys are all having a fabulous day. Give this video a thumbs up if you guys really enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Also, do me the biggest favor of all, hit the bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos or streams here on my channel. Also, make sure to head over to Twitch. Follow me there at Douglas447 with a capital D. It's got a Detective Pikachu picture. And yeah, I stream there from time to time. Recently, I've been streaming a lot of Call of Duty. Kind of haven't done anything Battlefield-wise because Battlefield 5 is kind of dead. Destiny 2, Overwatch, Halo MCC, Halo 5, Warface Breakout. If there's a game that you guys really enjoy, you guys want to see me play and stream, let me know in the comment section of this video. And if I'm not streaming at Douglas447 on Twitch, you guys can still friend me. And then when I do go live, you can follow me then. And it's completely free. It doesn't cost you anything. It is $5 a month if you want Twitch Prime. And you guys, of course, can donate to me $5 per month if you guys want to help support me financially, both here on my YouTube channel and on my Twitch channel. And for those of you who have just subscribed at the time of recording this video, we are at 90 subscribers strong. Thank you guys. If you guys are completely brand new to my channel, I really do appreciate all your guys' love and support. And spread the word around that the Texas Man channel is here and is open and free to the public. I cover movies, music, video games, TV shows, and airsoft guns. Me reading through these books is kind of just like a little pet project that a couple of my friends decided, Texas Man, you should do this. It was part of your childhood. Just put it out as YouTube videos and spread the fact that this was what you did during your childhood. And so that's what I'm doing. This, of course, is going to be continuing on reading through. My book kind of got destroyed when I was stapling it. So we're continuing on reading through the Final War Regime Rising. This is part 3. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check out parts 1 and 2, make sure you guys do that. Yes, I know that these parts are like 30 to 45 minutes long, but these books are long, so do bear with me on that. A lot has happened. So to backtrack, we're going to be picking up and starting at chapter 5 on page 44, if you guys are reading along with me. And so basically we just got to the part where the regime has been created. Earth has been destroyed completely. Unit Alpha has been created. And Ash has been mind controlled by Morg. So we're picking up right after that. I do apologize. I got a fan blowing on me because right now it's like 98 degrees. And as you guys can tell, I'm not in my normal setup. I'm not going to be in my normal setup for several of my upcoming videos. I've got some crazy things going on in my personal life. So my normal recording studio is a little bit of a disaster right now. And my guess is I'm going to be recording the rest of this book, Final War 2, Hunters Hunted, Final War 3, Epic End, and Stacy the Halo War, at least outside. So if there's any background noise, I apologize. I am going to pause the video to make it so you guys don't hear everything going on, but I wanted to make sure I could just keep recording for you guys and making these videos. So I hope you guys will enjoy. This is part 3 of the Final War Regime Rising. Chapter 5 we're starting at, called Chapter 5, Doug Apollo U, Destruction. I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to lose my voice. Alright, let's go. Chapter 5, Doug Apollo U, Destruction. Location, the STC-40. Douglas, I just completed a system check, and it seems to be okay. However, I detected something on the hull on the ship, said Amy. What is it? Asked Douglas. A tracking beacon, answered Amy. Other regime forces must have placed it on while we were distracted battling Halo, said Chad. I know it will lead the regime straight to the core base on Doug Apollo U. However, we have no choice but to continue our plans. The core generals and the Holy Trinity need to know what has happened, said Douglas. 30 minutes later, the STC-40 landed in the ship-controlled... The STC-40... No, try this again. 30 minutes later, the STC-40 landed in the ship controlled by the core on the planet Doug Apollo U, and Unit Alpha, of now 9 members, was greeted by 4 generals and the Holy Trinity. What did you learn while on your mission? Asked God. Sadly, many things that are not good, said Douglas. Where is Ashbeka? Asked Jesus. This is one of the many bad things that have taken place, said Peter. While on Prime 67, we discovered all the prisoners had grouped together as an army called the Regime. The leader is Mr. Halo Shadow, with Darth Vader, Morg, Darth Upte, Octave Punny, Dr. Ice, Satan, and Nikolai as his generals. Lastly, Ash has been mind-controlled by Morg's new ability, and we were unable to rescue him because of uneven numbers, said Douglas. What about the fact that you ran your lightsaber... What about the fact you ran your lightsaber through Halo's chest and he didn't bleed or die? Asked Chad, reminding Douglas of other facts. That is another problem we encountered while on Prime 67 as well, said Douglas. This news is not good, but there is hope, said God. Location, Prime 67. Darth Vader and Morg, please come over here, said Halo Shadow. I want you two to take the ARC Trooper Army and the Terrorist Army with you to the planet Sonic. I want you to take along our prisoner Ashbeka. On Sonic, I want you to guard Ashbeka and build a regime base. We need a better location for resupplying our forces, and there Ash might be able to spill some secrets about the Corps' plans in the universe, said Halo. What about everyone else? Asked Nikolai, Halo's right-hand man. The rest of the regime, including Darth Upte, Dr. Ice, Satan, and I, will attack the core base on Dagapalo U, destroy it, kill everyone on the planet, and destroy the planet for good measure, said Halo. The two armies left the planet Prime 67 and traveled their separate ways in ships and fighters. Location, Dagapalo U. We also have another problem to deal with soon, said Douglas, removing the tracking beacon from the hull of the STC-40. You allowed the regime to track your ship to our base, exclaimed General BJ. Yes, we needed to inform you of the information in person and not through deep space communication, said Douglas. No matter about the past. We need to prepare to defend the base when the regime arrives, said God, ending the rising tension between the Corps leader and one of his generals. Location, Sonic. After 1 hour of traveling, the regime forces arrived at the planet with volcanoes scattered everywhere. Within 5 hours, the regime forces had built a base and had locked up Ash in a prison cell. Location, regime ship. My lord, we have entered Sector 6 on the south side of the Sun, also known as planet Rickering, and will be at Dagapalo U within 30 minutes, said Nikolai. Great work, General, for soon we will crush them all, said Halo. Location, Dagapalo U. Commander Douglas, all our forces are ready to defend the base with Gatling gun turrets and laser turrets mounted around and inside of the base, said Hamster General Billy. Great news, replied Douglas. Who is going to command the army in space? Asked Droid General Ace. Generals, I want you to command the ground forces while my team in the Holy Trinity takes the STC-40 to lead the army of ships and fighters, said Douglas. The Corps members agreed. Unit Alpha and the Holy Trinity boarded the STC-40, left the planet to command the army of ships and fighters, and the four generals prepared to defend the planet if the Corps Space Army was unsuccessful in stopping the attack from reaching the planet Dagapalo U. Location, regime ship. Sir, we have arrived, and it would seem the Corps knew we were coming, said Darth Upte, seeing the army of ships and fighters. Thank you for stating the obvious nature that there is an army of ships and fighters defending Dagapalo U, said Halo, with him and his generals seeing the army ahead of them. Nikolai, are we ready to launch the assault? Asked Halo. We are prepared to annihilate them to the last child, said Nikolai. Then launch our fighters to missile the Corps ground forces to death, while our ships in space battle it out, said Halo. Nikolai pressed a red button at his station on the regime ship, and it signaled hundreds of fighters to be launched. The final war begins today, said Halo. Location, the STC-40. Unit Alpha and the Holy Trinity watched along with the other ships and fighters as the regime launched fighters from their ships' hangar bays and headed straight towards them. Brittany, quickly patch me through to the entire Corps fleet and ground forces, said Douglas. Done, replied Brittany. This is Commander Douglas on board the STC-40. We don't have but seconds before the battle begins to defend the planet, but I wanted to say something to all of you. Your sacrifice will always be remembered by me, my friends, and my family. I am not sure if this is good news or bad news. However, I must say the truth. This is the final war between good and evil. I only hope we will stand and they will fall, said Douglas. Seconds later, a missile hit the STC-40 and lowered its shields by 10%. Lasers, missiles, and cannons fired all around in space. After minutes of unending fighting, regime fighters began breaching through the Corps' blockade of ships and attacking the ground forces. Douglas, we can't hold the area for much longer, said Jesus, seeing the Corps losing quickly. Douglas looked around to see the same thing, as Jesus had realized the regime was more powerful than the Corps. This is Commander Douglas. I am ordering a retreat to the planet Kissan to gather reinforcements to strike back another day, said Douglas. Douglas, you have to take your army up in space and go. Don't send ships to pick us up, because they will be trapped and will not escape. Our army of droids, trees, and hamsters will defend Dagapaloyu, while your army of humans and angels retreat to Kissan, said BJ. Negative. I'm not leaving you, 4 generals, to die down there, said Douglas. Douglas, you don't have a choice, said Hamster Billy. I do have a choice to return to the base and die alongside you 4, said Douglas, beginning to cry for his friends, bravely sacrificing themselves. Douglas, you and your forces retreat and find another way to defeat the rising regime, said Droid Ace. What if we don't find a way to defeat Halo and his army? Asked Douglas. You will, replied Tree Rosh. I will miss you all, said Douglas. As will we, replied BJ. All Corps fighters returned to ship hangar bays and ships prepared to activate energy engines to travel to Kiss-An, said Douglas. 2 minutes later, the entire Corps fleet had disappeared from sight. Location: regime ship. What was that, Commander? Asked Dr. Ice. I think the Corps has ships with energy engines to teleport, said Halo. Commander, do we end the attack and hunt down the Corps fleet? Asked Dr. Ice. Negative. I want this planet destroyed, said Halo. How so? Asked Dr. Ice. I want you to lead your army of zombie pirates and vampires to kill the remaining Corps forces, said Halo. It will be done, my lord, said Dr. Ice. General BJ, General Rosh, General Ace, and General Billy. General BJ, General Rosh, General Ace, and General Billy regrouped with the army of about 80 remaining Corps forces, while watching the last of the Corps turrets being destroyed. We have incoming, yelled Rosh. The Corps forces watched as the regime ship landed and unloaded 100 regime forces and Dr. Ice. The droids began blasting bullets out of their arms, trees began smashing enemies with rocks, and hamsters began blasting with their blaster rifles. The zombie pirates began going around, biting the heads off of droids and hamsters, while the vampires injected poison from their fangs to kill the trees. Within minutes, only the 4 Corps generals and the 1 regime general remained to battle it out. Surrender, generals, and I will not kill you, said Dr. Ice. You will never surrender to evil's ways, said BJ. We are not evil. We are the good guys in this war. You and the rest of the Corps are the ones that have destroyed the peace of the universe by locking up creatures in it on Prime 67. I am offering you a chance to join my cause to put an end to this conflict, eliminate the Corps, and make known throughout the universe that the regime is now the new army to be feared, said Dr. Ice. You are one cold-hearted and twisted-minded person, Dr. Ice. We will never leave God's army, no matter the cost, even if it means death, said BJ. Then death it shall be, said Dr. Ice. Ace, Billy, and BJ began firing their guns at Dr. Ice, and Rosh began throwing gigantic boulders at the evil general, while the Doctor of Frozen Ice approached them with his red lightsaber. The bullets and boulders missed Dr. Ice and allowed him to be closer to the Corps members. Rosh tried to smash the evil doctor, but had his legs sliced and bled to death. Ace and BJ drew out their lightsabers, but before they could turn them on, Dr. Ice sliced their heads off. Then Dr. Ice turned around and watched as Billy rammed his lightsaber through the doctor's heart and melted Dr. Ice into a pile of water. "One general down," said Billy. Suddenly a missile impacted the area Billy was around and killed the cute hamster. Halo and the other regime generals looked around to see Octopunny in a fighter with a missile missing on its right wing. Moments later, the regime left the planet Dagapalayu and destroyed it to make sure any other core resistance hidden on the planet was no longer a threat. Chapter 6 Reinforcements of Kisan. The core fleet of only 4,000 humans and angels blasted out of energy space and had arrived at the planet Kisan. "All core forces land in the core city and wait for my next orders," said Douglas. As Devon piloted the STC-40, which had Unit Alpha and the Holy Trinity on board, the group looked out of the glass window to see the core city and the beautiful terrain like that of Comfortoriding. The STC-40 landed along with the rest of the core fleet, was greeted by 2,000 humans and angels, and everyone wondered what Douglas's next order was going to be. "Douglas, we have to do something quickly to put an end to the regime," said Laura. "Laura, you don't realize the reality of this war, do you?" asked Douglas. "I do understand," replied Laura. "I don't think you do," said Devon, entering the conversation. "It would be unwise to continue waging war against the regime. Halo has under his command 8,000 troops strong, and even with us coming here to gather reinforcements, we only have 6,000 troops. We can't win this war, and I can't kill Halo with him being immortal," said Douglas. "What are we going to do now, then?" asked God, hoping that Corps High Commander would gain some courage to fight to the death against the regime. "I will not send us into another battle against Halo's army without a plan, so I need time to think first," said Douglas. Douglas walked away from his unit, the Holy Trinity, and the core forces to enter a hotel to think about a strategy to defeat the regime. Hours passed, and still no one had seen Douglas leave his hotel room, so Amy decided to put an end to the conversation throughout the city on the planet Kisan. Amy knocked on the door to Douglas's room. There was no answer for 10 seconds. Amy knocked again, and the door was quickly opened to see Douglas on his left knee looking up at Amy's dazzling eyes. "Douglas, everyone in the city wants to know what the next move is," asked Amy. "I'm making the next move right now," said Douglas, pulling out a diamond, golden banded ring. Amy began to cry a little, and Douglas saw a smile begin to form on his lover's lips. "Will you, Amy Long, marry me?" asked Douglas. Amy continued to cry, grabbed the ring, placed the ring on her finger, and looked at Douglas. "I do," answered Amy. Douglas stood up off of the floor, and the two lovers kissed. "What about your plans for the regime and Mr. Halo's shadow?" asked Amy. "I know the answer to our problems will reveal themselves soon. I want to marry you in case we should perish during the final war," said Douglas. The next day the wedding song was played as Douglas and Amy stood before God at a marriage ceremony, with the rest of the Corps attending. "Do you, Douglas Armstrong, take Amy Long to be your wife, to cherish her, to protect her, to be a man of honor, courage, and strength in evil circumstances?" asked God. "I do," replied Douglas. "Do you, Amy Long, take Douglas Armstrong to be your husband, to obey him, to give your body to him, to be a voice of understanding, reasoning, and loving in evil circumstances?" asked God. "I do," replied Amy. "Then I proudly proclaim you, Douglas and Amy, husband and wife. You may kiss the bride," said God. Douglas landed a kiss on Amy's lips, and the two 19-year-olds were married. "Hooray!" yelled the Corps forces, which had the other members of Unit Alpha also. The couple held each other's hands, which had their wedding rings on them, and were congratulated by every Corps human and angel. Eventually Douglas and Amy made it to the other members of Unit Alpha, and Devon used sign language to signal Douglas to talk with Devon over in a corner of the church building. I know this is not the proper time for this, Commander, yet it is something that must be discussed, said Devon, talking to Douglas separately from Unit Alpha. Devon, just call me Douglas, and not Commander, please. What is it, though? Said Douglas. We need to train Amy and Brittany of how to use their lightsabers, said Devon. Why this sudden emergency to train those two? Asked Douglas. God fears that it will come handy in the future days, replied Devon. I will consider it, said Douglas. The brothers rejoined the party and lasted until midnight. The next day arose with Douglas and Amy in a bed, which was part of the hotel room, and they both looked at each other with a smile on their faces. Amy, I have made a decision, said Douglas. Is it about defeating the regime and killing Halo Shadow? Asked Amy. Somewhat, replied Douglas. What do you mean by somewhat? Asked Amy. It will help win the war, said Douglas. What is it then? Asked Amy. Devon and I plan to train Brittany and you today of how to wield a lightsaber, said Douglas. You're joking. Right, said Amy. No, I'm serious, answered Douglas. Amy kissed Douglas in the lips and smiled because she wanted to be able to use something other than a blaster rifle. It was difficult for Douglas and Devon training Amy and Brittany together. Both brothers wanted to teach the new lightsaber wielders their own techniques, but it only led to constant arguing. To cease the unending fighting between Douglas and Devon, Amy and Brittany thought of a great way to allow the brothers to blow off their steam. Why don't you two do out your anger with a lightsaber duel? Asked Brittany. The brothers looked at the women with a "what do you think that would do" look, looked at each other, and realized this would be a great learning opportunity for the newbies. The brothers grabbed a wood-like lightsaber and began dashing it out. Douglas and Devon clashed together, formed an X with their wooden lightsabers, and held their position for 20 seconds until Devon broke off from the connection, leaped into midair, and prepared to stab Douglas in the back. Douglas knew what was about to happen, teleported out of the way, and appeared behind Devon. Devon landed back on the ground, and Douglas stabbed his wooden lightsaber into Devon's back. Amy and Brittany clapped their hands at the great duel. However, Amy's clapping was louder because her husband won. Great duel, said Douglas. I guess so, said Devon, hating the fact he would never be as good as his older brother. Amy and Brittany continued to train for 5 days until Douglas and Devon declared the following. You have been taught all we know by Devon and I, so you are ready to use your lightsaber for fighting, said Douglas. Commander, my father has some information to inform you of about Halo, said Jesus, entering the area with the 4 Unit Alpha members. What is it? Asked Douglas. I don't know, replied Jesus. Douglas, Devon, Amy, Brittany, and Jesus left the training base, walked a few blocks, and entered a house with God, the Holy Spirit, Chad, Peter, Jack, Andrew, and Laura waiting for them. Commander, I have news about how to defeat Mr. Halo Shadow by making him mortal, said God. Go on, said Douglas. To make Halo mortal, we need to locate 8 relics, and the first one is the Book of Power. The book is located on the planet Overmo, inside of White Mountain, said God. Great, my unit will head for the planet Overmo to locate and collect the Book of Power, while you locate Ashbeka, said Douglas. As you wish, replied God. Unit Alpha left the house, entered the STC-40, left the planet Kissian, and headed towards Sector 12. Location, Regime ship. Keep searching the area. We must locate the core, said Halo, with his army searching Sector 6 to destroy the remaining core forces. We are hunting for them, said Darth Upday, still wanting to kill Halo. Chapter 7. Overmore? No, that's not right. Overmo Overlord. Location, the STC-40. Douglas, we have just entered Sector 12 and are passing the planet Miss Panic on its east side, said Devon. Make sure to keep the ship a good distance from Miss Panic. In my dreams, that supernova planet will explode into a black hole one day, said Douglas. Will do, said Devon, the ship's pilot. Amy, scan the area for the regime, said Douglas. Scanning, said Amy. Chad, have the ship's weapons system ready for getting heated. Overmo is a planet that was controlled by the Arm in my dreams, and might still have some evil waiting for revenge, said Douglas. Done, replied Chad. Scans show no signs of the regime. However, there are signals of life forms walking on the ground and flying in the atmosphere, said Amy. If it is not the regime, then what is it? Asked Laura. That question scares me, said Peter. No matter about that. Devon, plot a course for White Mountain. While on Overmo, I want Chad and Laura to take control of the 63NO tank. For the ARC 170 Jeep, I want Peter to take the back gun, Jack and Andrew to take the front guns, Devon to drive, and the three of us to just sit, said Douglas. The unit understood Douglas's order, and seconds after the order was given, Unit Alpha arrived at Overmo to see it was a forest planet, similar to Yan 4. There it is! I see White Mountain, said Peter, pointing his hand towards the glass window in front of the command bridge. Heading there ASAP, said Devon. Devon piloted the STC-40 carefully over the trees and landed the ship in a clearing a few clicks north of White Mountain, which was a mountain colored white, without snow. Be on your guard, everyone, as not many two-legged creatures visit planets in sectors 8, 9, 11, 12, and 13 for safety reasons, said Douglas. Unit Alpha left the command bridge, entered their certain position in their certain vehicles, and left the STC-40. The 63NO and the ARC 170 raced through the jungle at a speed of 80 miles per hour while heading towards White Mountain, unaware of the creatures following behind them. Hey Douglas, if the scans registered life forms walking and flying, but are not regime troops, fighters, or ships, then what is on this planet? Asked Laura. Those things! Yelled Peter. Unit Alpha looked behind, using mirrors to see charging mammoths approaching from the team's left, right, and backside. Pedal to the metal! Yelled Douglas. The 63NO, the vehicle in the lead, and the ARC 170 went from doing 80 miles per hour to 120 miles per hour. Douglas will be at a cave entrance in White Mountain in about 2 minutes, said Chad, using earpiece technology. Roger that, Chad, said Douglas. Douglas, we have bigger and higher problems, said Devon, seeing something in his mirror while driving the ARC 170. Douglas turned around to see several hungry pterodactyls flying towards the convoy. Peter, overload your gun on the creatures, said Douglas, using his earpiece. Suddenly, a mammoth slammed into the left side of the 63NO tank, and a mammoth rushed to the right side of the ARC 170, but neither vehicle was flipped upside down. Bullets began spraying out of the chamber of the ARC 170's back gun, and Peter was having fun killing the pterodactyls in the sky and any mammoth that tried to attack the convoy again. 1 minute until we arrive, said Chad to Douglas, using earpieces. Copy that. Turn the tank around ASAP to help Peter fend off the prehistoric creatures, said Douglas. Roger that, Commander, replied Chad. As Peter continued killing the creatures, 5 more of each monster appeared, once he killed one. I can't hold them off for much longer, said Peter. Do your best, said Douglas. 10 seconds later, Unit Alpha drove their vehicle into a cave while still firing upon the creatures. The 63NO tank turned around to have its cannons aimed at the cave entrance and began to kill the inbound charging mammoths. The ARC 170 also turned around to have its front guns aimed at the cave's entrance. However, the 7 members of the team left the Jeep to provide blaster fire support. Douglas, a submarine, said Peter, seeing a submarine in a pool of water far off in the cave. It's the Deep Space Travel Hub, or the DSTH for short. It is said that it was the last submarine to visit Atlantis before its destruction, said Jack. Chad and Laura, you two remain in the 63NO to guard the entrance to the cave, while the rest of us take the DSTH to travel underwater. It might take us to the Book of Power, said Douglas. Douglas, Devon, Amy, Brittany, Peter, and the Woodson brothers entered the DSTH and Devon dove the submarine underwater, while Chad and Laura fired cannon shots at incoming mammoths. Location: Kisan. Father, our scans have finished and have located Ashbeka on the super-fast moving planet called Sonic, said Jesus. Great work, everyone, said God, with the Holy Spirit and Jesus inside of the radar station of the city. We also were able to detect the structure of a regime base and the life signs of Darth Vader, Morg, an army of ARC troopers, and an army of terrorists, said Jesus. Make sure to have this information for Commander Douglas Armstrong when Unit Alpha returns from their current mission, said God. Location, Overmo. Unit Alpha watched as the DSTH surfaced out of the water and revealed another cave, which was only accessible through the underwater passage. Let's hurry up and locate the Book of Power, said Douglas. The group exited out of the DSTH as soon as the squad was on solid ground. They were slammed by 20 enormous bats. What are those things? Asked Devon. Bats that are guarding the book, said Amy, seeing a golden case lying in front of the group, 30 feet away from the team's current position. Let's light these bats up, said Douglas. Douglas, Amy, Devon, and Brittany turned on their lightsabers, while Peter, Jack, and Andrew entered a clip of ammunition into their blaster rifles. Douglas looked at his friends, which were inside of White Mountain, and winked his eyes to prepare for battle. Cover me while I get the book, said Douglas. Douglas dashed towards the book, and bats began coming out of hiding, yet were sliced by a lightsaber or shot by a blaster rifle. Douglas reached the golden case, opened it, and took out the Book of Power. Suddenly, Douglas had a bat slam into him from his right side. Douglas lost grip of his lightsaber, looked to see the bat with its mouth of teeth, and prepared to eat him. The bat towered over Douglas, which could not reach for his lightsaber, and out of nowhere, Amy drove her lightsaber into the left side of the bat's head. Amy helped her husband up. Douglas recovered his lightsaber, and the couple watched Peter shoot down the last bat. We have one relic, exclaimed Jack. Yes, we do, said Douglas. Douglas teleported the squad back to Chad and Laura with the 63NO and ARC 170. Then the commander teleported everyone and everything back onto the STC-40 to avoid another clash with Overmo's creatures. Douglas placed the Book of Power safely in the ship's armory and realized the Corps only needed 7 more relics to collect to make Mr. Halo Shadow mortal. Douglas walked into the command bridge, sat down in the commander's chair, and looked at his unit. Great job, everyone, today, said Douglas. What now? Asked Devon. Let's return to Kisan and find out what the Holy Trinity has learned about Ashbeka's location, said Douglas. Devon activated the STC-40's energy engines, and Unit Alpha headed for the planet Kisan. Chapter 8. I'm going to lose my voice. I'll be right back. Okay. That's better. Okay. There we go. What happens when you're recording for a video that's longer than half an hour? You can't talk! Chapter 8. Sonic Assault. Location. Sonic. I'm so sick of getting guard duty over Ashbeka, while the other generals aid our commander to hunt down the Corps, said Vader. I agree, but we have orders to follow, said Morg. I do not care about Halo's orders that keep us out of fighting the enemy, said Vader. If Halo does not return in 4 days, we will kill Ashbeka, said Morg. Location, the STC-40. Douglas, we have returned to the planet Kisan, said Devon. Good. I hope the Holy Trinity has some answers about Ash's location, said Douglas. Devon piloted the ship and landed it quickly in the city. Unit Alpha exited out of the ship and entered the radar station building, and was greeted by the Holy Trinity. Welcome back to base, said Jesus. Thanks to our unit's leader, said Andrew, looking at Douglas. We have good and bad news about Ashbeka, said God. What is the good news? Asked Jack. We know that Ash is on the planet Sonic. Try that again. We know that Ash is on the planet Sonic, said God. What is the bad news? Asked Peter. He's inside of a regime base with Darth Vader, Morg, and the regime armies of ARC troopers and terrorists, which total 1,000 troops, replied God. How are 1,000 troops against our 6,000 troops bad news? Asked Amy. Because we don't know their defense system on the base. They could have ships, fighters, and turrets our scanners cannot detect, said Jesus. I really don't care. We have to rescue Ash at all cost. He is the chosen one for my dreams. and we need him alive as an ally, said Douglas. We have a core ally on the planet that can help us locate the base's precise location, said God. A little inside tip. Who do you think lives on the planet Sonic? If you guessed Sonic the Hedgehog, you were correct. That is good news also, said Chad. I am ordering the entire Corps to leave Kisan and head for the outer space around the planet Cassando. There the Corps will wait to attack while my unit meets the Corps ally, said Douglas. The Corps departed from the planet Kisan, left Sector 17, and headed towards Cassando in Sector 15, while Unit Alpha boarded the STC-40 and headed straight for the planet Sonic. After traveling hours, Unit Alpha arrived around the planet Sonic. Amy, scan the entire planet to locate any core signals, said Douglas. Do we even know who the core ally is? Asked Amy, hoping it would help narrow down the search. No, replied Douglas. Amy scanned the planet, and the results were strange. The ally is located inside of a cave 10 miles east of the regime base, and where Ash's heat signature is, said Amy. Great work. Let's land on the planet with a super fast orbit, but just low enough to allow life, said Douglas. Devon piloted the STC-40 to allow the Allies' position. Devon piloted the STC-40 to the Allies' position while avoiding the regime base's radar by using radar jamming technology, and landed the ship outside of the entrance to the cave. Look, said Jack. The unit looked out of the glass window in front of the command bridge to see the strangest creature ever seen, a blue hedgehog. Let's meet our ally, said Douglas. The team left the STC-40, walked up to the creature, which was standing in the cave's entrance, and smiled. Are you from the Corps? Asked the blue hedgehog. Yes, I am High Commander Douglas Armstrong, and this is my personal unit called Unit Alpha, said Douglas. Welcome, and I'm glad that you are on my side. Otherwise, there would have been bodies to burn and blood pools to clean up, said the blue hedgehog. What is your name? Asked Amy, looking at the cute creature. Sonic. Sonic, the legendary hedgehog, said the blue fuzzy ball with red shoes and white gloves. That is ironic for you to be on the planet Sonic. Sonic. Are there others like you? Said Chad. Ironic as it is, there are no more of my kind because of the regime. When they arrived, they gathered up my kind, my friends, my parents, my siblings, my wife, my children, and my grandchildren, and shot them all to death. I was the only one of my kind to escape the village before being captured. This is why I'm helping the Corps. I want revenge, said Sonic. Everyone was silent and felt in their chest a heartache for their friend and ally. Location, regime ship in Sector 6. Darth Update, Octopunny, Satan, and Nikolai looked at Halo, who was sitting in the commander's chair, and wondered when he was going to give the order to end the quest of searching for the Corps. Commander, we have searched Sector 6 for several hours. They have gone somewhere else, said Darth Update, still with an idea of wanting to kill Halo. We all agree that this is a waste of time. Can't we do something else? Asked Nikolai. Yes. Have the fleet of 9,000 head for our base at Sonic. I want to check up on Darth Vader, Morgan, Ash, said Halo. The regime left Sector 6 and headed for the planet Sonic. Location, Sonic. Sonic's home cave. It's really confusing to have to say that, but that's what happened when you're having fun writing this. My village, once my kind was destroyed, was upgraded with technology and better living areas to become the regime base. Even though there are some changes, I have secretly entered the base during the night and have a map of the base's entire layout, said Sonic the Hedgehog. That will help us locate Ash sooner, said Andrew. Douglas, do you have the core fleet coming? Asked Sonic. Yes, they are waiting near the planet Cassando for my orders to assault the base, replied Douglas. Call in the core fleet while we begin the main assault, said Sonic. Douglas used his earpiece and informed the Holy Trinity to have the core fleet of 6,000 troops move in to attack the regime base and rescue Ash Becca. Moments later, Unit Alpha brought out the 63NO and the Arc 170 inside of the STC-40 to use in the battle. Chad and Laura entered the tank, while everyone else, except for Sonic, entered the Jeep. "Lead us to victory," said Douglas. I hope that your vehicles can keep up," said Sonic. "Don't worry about us keeping up. These rides of ours have gone up to 200 miles per hour," said Douglas. "I can go up to 400 miles per hour," said Sonic, ending the competition. Unit Alpha and their vehicles followed Sonic towards the regime base, and within 5 minutes the assault on the base on the planet Sonic began. Unit Alpha and Sonic sped up towards the square, barbed-wired, tall and steel wall base, while regime forces rushed out of the base to crush Unit Alpha and Sonic. Machine gun bullets fired from the ARC 170 to neutralize the heavy armored ARC troopers. Cannon shots fired at the wall's base to punch a hole through the wall, and Sonic sped through the battlefield to battle the terrorists. "We're outnumbered!" yelled Sonic. Suddenly missiles impacted the regime base and the regime army. Everyone looked up to the sky to see the arrival of the core fleet of 6,000 troops. "Rain hell down on them," said God and his ship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit. Fighters began dropping bombs like hell, taking out the regime's bases, defense turrets, and towers, and killing several regime ground forces. "Let's end this," yelled Douglas. The ship with the Holy Trinity on board landed, along with many others, and began battling against the ARC troopers and terrorists of the regime. Red bullets from blaster rifles fired from every direction, making it nearly impossible to not be shot within seconds of leaving the protection of cover. Location: inside of the regime base. "We have to protect Ashbeka at all costs," said Morg to Darth Vader, which were both inside of the regime base, watching the battle ensue. "Let's get him to the communication room and use Halo's device to beam him out of here," said Darth Vader. Morg and Vader used a secret tunnel passage to avoid the bombardment of bombs outside, entered the communication room, and placed Ashbeka into a circular tube. Moments later, Ash vanished from the regime general's sights. "We have to get word out to our commander," said Morg. "We can't. The system is blown from the assault," said Darth Vader. "We can't hold off the core forever, so what do we do now?" asked Morg. "Stay here and fix the communication device to get word to the commander. I'll give you a little extra time," said Darth Vader. Location: outside of the regime base. "Chad, we have to leave the 63 Anno tank before those ARC troopers reach our position," said Laura, both in the tank. "No, we can defeat them before they reach us," said Chad. Chad and Laura blasted the tank's cannons at the incoming force of 30 ARC troopers and were saved. "Good work," said Chad. Suddenly ARC troopers approached the tank's left and right side, where Chad and Laura had no windows to look out of, and placed sticky thermal grenades on the 63 Anno tank. "Run!" yelled the ARC troopers. Chad and Laura watched the ARC troopers run away in front of the tank and aimed the tank's cannons to kill them. However, Laura heard the sound of the thermal grenades sticking and warned Chad of the danger. Chad and Laura opened the hatch, quickly crawled out of the 63 Anno, ran behind a nearby log, and 2 seconds later, the 63 Anno tank was turned to dust. "That was too close," said Laura. "I agree," said Chad. Chad and Laura armed themselves with blaster rifles and regrouped with the rest of Unit Alpha to use the ARC 170 as mobile cover. The battle raged on with intense force, and it seemed like the Corps was winning the attack. However, something tragic was about to take place. "Commander Douglas, we're pinned," said Jesus. Douglas looked to the right to see the Holy Trinity pinned by gunfire behind a fallen tree. Douglas looked to see the terrorist with a mounted machine gun inside of the base, aimed and shot the enemy in the head with his blaster rifle. "Get over here," said Douglas. The Holy Spirit, Jesus, and God began slicing and dicing more ARC troopers to reach the safety of the ARC 170. But suddenly, Jesus placed his feet on a pile of landmines. Time froze super fast as Unit Alpha and Sonic watched the explosion rise up from the dirt and have a thick cloud of dust cover the entire Holy Trinity. Time sped up to allow no one to see the Holy Trinity once the dust cloud was gone, and every one of the Corps was shocked to realize 3 of the most well-known people in the Corps were dead. "No!" yelled Douglas. Unit Alpha was super mad, as was Sonic, and decided to end this battle quickly. Sonic, in his anger, sped through the regime forces, ripped the heads off of the enemies, and stopped to be face to face with a man in a breathing mask on and dark and in dark robes. "You killed my kind," said Sonic. "Obviously not," said Darth Vader, turning on his red lightsaber. Sonic sped up to rip off Vader's head, but Sonic was decapitated while the hedgehog was in midair. It's Darth Vader, okay? I'm sorry, but he's more powerful than Sonic. "Now, all the hedgehogs in the universe are no more," said Darth Vader. After watching the death of the Holy Trinity and Sonic the Hedgehog, Unit Alpha left the protection of the Arc 170 and charged further into the battle zone. "Peter, let's have some fire fun with those losers," said Douglas. Douglas and Peter formed fireballs in the palm of their hands and began tossing them at the few remaining ARC troopers and terrorists to burn them to hell. Bullets and fireballs engaged the arena of death, and after minutes of battling, only Darth Vader remained outside of the base. "Surrender or perish," said Douglas. "I will never surrender or perish," said Darth Vader, guarding the hole in the base's wall because of the 63N tank. "Then prepare to meet your doom. Devin and Brittany, take care of this filth," said Douglas. Devin and Brittany ran towards Darth Vader to battle with their lightsabers, and just as the sides were about to duel it out, a missile impacted between them. Devin and Brittany and Vader were tossed backwards from the explosion, and everyone looked to see the regime forces of 9,000 troops arriving. "This isn't good. Not good at all," said Jack. Missiles, bombs, fighter duels, ship battles, and gunfire between ground troops began once regime ships landed and deployed more regime forces. "Team, help the Corps while I search the base for Morg and Ash," said Douglas. Douglas's unit separated from the High Commander of the Corps while Douglas entered the base and began searching for his targets. Location: regime ship with Halo and his generals. "My lord, shall we put an end to the Corps today?" asked Darth Upday. "Crush them all and leave no survivors," said Halo. "It will be done, my lord," said Darth Upday. Location: outside of the regime base. Brittany looked out where Darth Vader was laying down from the explosion and walked over to make sure the regime general was killed. She walked slowly and cautiously towards Vader and prepared to stab him with her green lightsaber within moments. She was able to be directly by Vader's left side, saw he had his eyes closed and was not breathing, and rose her lightsaber to stab him in the heart. Brittany aimed the lightsaber and slammed it into Vader's chest. However, Vader opened his eyes, clashed his red lightsaber with Brittany's green lightsaber, and pushed her back several feet with a powerful kick. You don't really think I can be killed that easily, do you?" asked Darth Vader. "I'm not sure anymore, but I can promise you that your wrath ends here and now," said Brittany. Darth Vader raced towards Brittany, and once the evil man was in distance, she swung her lightsaber at Vader and took his feet off. Vader collapsed to the ground on his knees. Brittany walked over to him, slid Vader's lightsaber away from his reach, and looked upon the man with the breathing mask. "Please don't kill me. I can help you defeat Halo," said Vader. "The Corps doesn't need your help," said Brittany. "I think you do, because I think you do. Because just look around and tell me who is winning," said Vader. Brittany looked around to see the Corps being killed more with gunfire and bombs, and realized the Corps would not survive the assault much longer. "Even if you kill me, Halo will win the final war between good and evil," said Darth Vader. "Not as long as I and the rest of the Corps are still breathing," said Brittany. Brittany sliced Vader's throat with her red lightsaber, and his head rolled towards Devin, informing him one of the several regime generals were dead. Douglas continued searching the regime base for Morg and Ash, and only had one place left to investigate: the communication room. Douglas walked slowly down the barely lit underground tunnel, entered the communication room with his lightsaber on, and came face to face with the mind-controlling general, Morg. "You are too late to rescue Ashbeka, Commander," said Morg. Douglas disarmed Morg from his lightsaber quickly by taking it off of his belt, pushed Morg against the wall, and aimed his green lightsaber at Morg's throat. "Tell me where Ash is at," said Douglas. "I can't help your friend because Vader and I placed him into that teleportation tube and sent him to another planet. Halo designed it himself to only be able to teleport one person and to erase the coordinates once used," said Morg. "Are you certain you can't help me?" asked Douglas. "Yes," replied Morg. "Then you're no longer of value to me," said Douglas. Douglas walked away from Morg to spare his life and walked towards the way out of the communication room. However, Morg was not done with the Corps commander. Morg picked up the nearby blaster rifle, opened fire on Douglas. Douglas turned around to see what Morg was doing, used his lightsaber to deflect the bullets, and stabbed Morg in the gut. "I gave you a chance to live, but your love of evil blinded you," said Douglas. Douglas pulled out his lightsaber and sliced the head off of Morg. Douglas teleported back to the rest of Unit Alpha and informed them that Morg was dead, while seeing Vader's dead body. "Where is Ash?" asked Evan. "Morg teleported him using a device to another planet, but he was not told which," said Douglas. "Typical evil tricks to keep generals in the dark," said Andrew. "We can't stay here much longer because we have few forces left," said Chad. "How many do we have left?" asked Douglas. "Just us," said Jack. Douglas realized only Unit Alpha remained alive to battle the thousands of regime troops. "Retreat to the Arc 170 and let's leave this place on the STC-40, said Douglas. The team raced through the intense gunfire, entered the Arc 170, blazed through a line of regime troops by running them over, and retreated to the STC-40 that was outside of Sonic's home cave. The unit placed the Arc 170 into the ship, sat down in the command bridge of the ship, and left the planet Sonic as the lone survivors from the assault on the planet Sonic. Location: Sonic. Commander, your army of 8,000 combined T-180s, Coltons, and Demons have searched the entire area and found out all of our terrorists, all of our ARC troopers, and our generals Darth Vader and Morg are dead, said Darth Upday. A noble sacrifice for them, since they nearly destroyed the core today, said Halo, seeing the remains of Sonic the Hedgehog. We will hunt down the Holy Trinity and Unit Alpha, said Octay Punny. Actually, I saw the Holy Trinity being blown up by landmines, said Nikolai. I doubt landmines could have killed them, said Halo. I saw it also, said Satan. Great. Then all we have to do is eliminate Unit Alpha to put an end to this war, said Halo. That's going to do it for me, guys. I know this was a very long video. Look forward to part 4, the final part of the Final War, Regime Rising, coming out very soon. You guys all have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Bye, guys.